So we broke up in our second year of being together. I think sometimes when we share the highs of our marriages, we forget to share the lows. So today I wanted to share some of the lows and how we navigated them. Dumelang, welcome back to my channel. My name is Storytime. Thank you for being here. If you are new, please subscribe and comment below. Thank you so much. So the reason why we broke up, I think it was both our fault, but I'm going to share my part. When I got married, before even we got married, when we were dating, I had this mentality that I don't need a man. Like, I grew up with that mentality. I was raised by a single mom. I saw not only my mom, but my aunts and people around me, how men mistreated them. So when I was dating, I already had that thing that, okay, whether it works or not, it's okay, I can move on, I can live my life. And if you think about it, that is the mentality that society gives us. I remember there used to be a saying that said, even Princess Diana got divorced. So if she got divorced, who am I? You know, they were even talking about the late Mama Winnie Mandela, saying that even if Yana, she got divorced, it shows that like it's not a big deal. So because of my absent father not being there and the environment that I grew up in, I came into our relationship with that mentality that I'm just waiting for him to show his true colors. So I did not truly believe that he was the man that he said he was. And please believe me, compared to the guy that I dated before I met my husband, he was absolutely like, yeah, he was setting a new standard for me. But still, despite that, I felt like he needed to continuously prove himself. He needed to prove that he deserves me, and he needed to prove that, yeah, that he's worthy of me. And I think it's because of the messages I was receiving from outside. You know, we grow up hearing about how like men are bad or they don't deserve all the love that women are giving. And we grow up with this mentality that women are always innocent, they are always right. And that was one of the issues that we break up, because honest, as much as I said I was invested in our relationship, but I always had a plan B. I always felt like if it doesn't work out, I'm going to leave. So if you are considering to get married, or if you are going to be married, or if you are already married, just be honest with yourself. Are you already preparing yourself for the worst case scenario? Are you giving your marriage or your relationship a chance? And I'm not talking about where you can see that there are real issues where there's abuse, you know, either emotionally, financially, physically, sexually, any kind of abuse. But I'm talking about where if you are looking at your relationship, things are actually okay. But still, despite that, because of your previous hurt, your previous trauma, you are already ready that should anything happen, you are going to leave. That was the mentality that I had. So we actually broke up. I left, we had our son then, I took him home to my mom, and the plan was to continue with life, you know, until thank God that he was able to make our path cross again. And when we came back, like, it was different for both of us. We knew that we are committed to each other, and I think this time we really implemented that scripture that says, therefore a woman and a man, they shall leave their family and live together. So we really became one. That's when we really became one. It was about the two of us. I had such a good relationship with my mom, which was great. But then sometimes the problem is that I depended so much on my mom that I felt like I did not need any other person. And I saw my mom raising us as kids, so it made me feel like I can do it. I can raise my son, even if it is not the ideal situation, but I believe that I could do it. So you can check the first video where I talk about some of the lessons that I have learned or I had to unlearn in our first 11 years of marriage. The second one, and this one was such a shock for me, the second one was that there is more to my husband than his body or his physical needs. And that is something that we are not really taught, you know. We are always told about how sex is so important to men. Does YouTube allow me to say that, guys? Okay. Yeah, but we are always told how physical intimacy is so important to men more than women. So I came with that mentality into our marriage that, okay, as long as I make sure that I meet his need for physical intimacy, then everything is fine, you know. But it was such a shock for me to discover that there are other things I needed, that my husband needed, that did not talk to only his physical need. And it affected my confidence, because as I was raised as a woman, as a girl, I was already sexualized, and I was already taught that, you know what, you need to, every man, that's what they want. They just want to have physical intimacy with you and make sure that you provide it. Do not deny them. Make sure that you give them what they want. And somehow we somehow thought that when someone wanted to be physically intimate with you, it meant that they love you. So when my husband was not doing what I thought he's supposed to, it felt like a rejection. It made me question myself that, is he not attracted to me? Am I not attractive enough? You know, and I will compare him to other guys from outside. Like, you know, other guys, they will talk about, hey, you are so, you know, you are so hot, you are so yummy, and what. And he never really focused on that. Even when he was pursuing me, he was more interested in me as Joey, the person, more than Joey, the body. And that was something that I was not used to. So we had to navigate that in our marriage, where I had to learn all those lies and all those faulty beliefs when it comes to physical intimacy in marriage. And guys, I just want to make this disclaimer. It is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, but it is not the main thing for your marriage. And as a society, sometimes we make it seem like it is the main thing. When your physical intimacy is good, then it means everything else is good. But as you grow and you evolve, you realize that there are so many things to your marriage than that one aspect. And I think it's such a disadvantage for men, because sometimes we don't see them beyond that, you know. If a man, that hence when a man has sexual issues, they will never say it. They will rather hide, because society has made it such a big thing that their manhood is dependent on how they perform in the bedroom. But there is more to them. As much as for me as a woman, I don't want people to make my womanhood be dependent on me being domesticated or having kids. I think the same thing should be said about men. And that leads to the next point, which is that a man being the financial provider. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that sometimes I talk about how my husband is an entrepreneur. And faves, let me tell you, it is not as easy and as easy and nice as society make it seem. I know that the message out there is that, hey, start your business, you must not work for someone else, stop working on other people's dreams and what. Please, now I'm not buying any of that, because I am living with someone who's always been an entrepreneur. And one thing I have learned throughout the years, the highs are very high, the lows are very lows. And if your foundation is not strong, you can find yourself fighting or wanting or even considering separation, you know. I think I'm just going to give one of the examples for me. You know, when your child comes back from school, with a letter saying that he's not going to receive his report because his school fees are not paid up, are not up to date. That feeling as a mom, and as a mom who loves stability, I love stability. Mudimu wired me that way. It is so horrible because at that moment, I will want to blame my husband. I will want, I will want to be angry with him. And it will be because you don't want your child to go through that. You don't want them to feel the embarrassment. But I used to fight with my son because the letter will say Mr. and Miss Dlamini, and Yana, he will decide that he's this junior Mr. Dlamini and open the letter. So he was not supposed to even see it, but kids be kids sometimes. He will open it and see it. But yeah, so it was not an easy thing for us to find our balance when it comes to that. And we had to, both of us, compromise and find what works for us, So I know that society, especially now, people are busy about in-daughter must. Hey, in-daughter must provide. But it's very sad that provision for us, we only think about physical, financial things, but we don't think about a guy. You can see when someone is really trying. You can see when someone wants the best for you, when they are doing their best. And just because for a season they are unable to provide for you financially, then you just disregard everything else that they have done. Would I recommend it for someone? I don't know. I think it depends on you. And I think it depends also where you are. For me, if he was not working when we started dating, I'm not sure if I would have dated him. That is being honest. Because also, as much as I want, and I think at that time, because I was just out of varsity, yeah, it was my last year, I would have dated him because I was also building. We actually started together. But then where I am right now, God forbid, if me and Habi were not together, and with 3 kids, our guys, the kids need Kellogg's, they need to eat whatever. So I don't think I was going to. But my point is that finances do affect marriages, and if you do not communicate about them, they can destroy something that is beautiful. I think I want to speak about the last one, which is submission. To submit or not, I remember growing up, I didn't like the idea of submission because I felt like I was a leader. Why should I be submitting to someone else? Why won't I submit to me? And I think also I didn't like the way they would say it. Like, it felt like abuse. You must not ask your husband where he is. You must not ask him where is he going. When he comes back from home, you must wake up and dish up food for him. That kind of submission, you can miss me with that one, because now I will ask you, Oko guy, and it's not a deep question, it's not a tricky question. But I will ask you, when are you coming back? I don't see why I should not be able to ask someone such simple questions. Someone, but who's my husband, he can also ask me the same thing. So one thing I realized, I shared about how, I don't know, in one of the deep videos, I did not know how to cook at all when I got married, like at all. It was bad. My friends from varsity, they know. So one of the things, I started cooking when I had our second born, Siamo. And the reason I started cooking, it was not because my husband asked me to or anyone asked me to, but I felt led. It was a desire that came to me. And the reason why it came is because it was not an expectation. So I was doing it out of love. So when someone loves you, respects you, protects you, provides for you, nurtures you, I don't think you will even think about it that I have to submit to this person. It just comes naturally. I found myself wanting to do things for my family, not only for my husband, for my family, because I love them. I found myself wanting to learn how to cook because it was one of the things I wanted to do for my family, for my kids. And can I just say, my husband is the better cooker. Now I'm still learning. And now he's like, when he cooks, even my kids get excited. That's how good he is. Yeah, but there are things that because it was not a requirement from him, I found it easy to do. And there's nothing wrong with submitting to your husband. There's nothing wrong with submitting to someone you love, because in every relationship, guys, whether we like it or not, we are submitting. Even at your workspace, you are submitting to your leadership. Even in the country, we are submitting to the laws of the country. Even in schools, you know, every place where you are submitting to someone. It's just that maybe the language that we use is not the same. And as Christians, we do submit to God and the Bible and his commandments, and it's not a big deal. And I was actually having a conversation with someone that I hate how society will make it seem like submission is something that is only done in marriages and that it's a bad thing. But when we do it for so many things and no one really thinks about it, like when you are driving, you are submitting to the laws of the country, because you know if it's a stop sign, you must stop. If it's a robot, you must do whatever. So it's the same thing. In our marriage, we have our own values, we have our own way of communicating that, yeah, and it's okay. It's not a big deal. I don't know about you. What do you feel about, how do you feel about this topic of submission? Do you feel like we are sometimes exaggerating it, or is it really such a bad thing? For me personally, in my marriage, I don't even think about it. I see myself doing it and I realize, oh, we are actually submitting to each other. We are submitting to each other. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching until this far. Let me know, how do you feel about the issue of submission, or any of the points that I've said, which one resonated with you? Please don't forget to share this video with someone else. I'm hoping, I want to grow this channel, and yeah, I can only do it with your help. Thank you so much. Bye.